Welcome back, everyone, to Pitch Side, and we got some fantastic news. We are proud to present our new partner, Super 6. I will stop doing that every time, I promise. But if you haven't heard of Super 6, it is a free-to-play football game every fan needs to do. 6 games every week. Predict your scores, and you can win up to £250,000 if you correctly predict all 6 scores. Not only that, if you join our mini league using the code PTCHS6, you have a chance to win £100 worth of classic football shirt vouchers every single week if you win that round. So follow the link in the description down below to sign up to Super 6 and join our mini league. I'll give you a little clue. 2-1 Newcastle. That's what I've gone for. It's easy to play, to predict your 6 scores, enter your golden goal, hit submit, and you have a chance to win £250,000. So make sure you use the link in the description down below. Terms and conditions apply. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you are following us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Give us a 5-star rating. It massively helps us out. Enjoy.
Okay, moving back to Nagelsmann then.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was well weird he got sacked.
It is a bit weird because
they're tied on points at the top of the Bundesliga.
Last I remember, they're 1 point off of Dortmund at top.
1 point off.
1 point off Dortmund's
They're
top.
in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Conceded 2 goals in the entire Champions League run.
Like, they are really good. He's got a 71% win record at Bayern Munich. How can you get fired?
I think...
But their expectations and standards of that club are so elite.
Mm-hmm.
But they're at the top of the Bundesliga. They're in the Champions League. What more can they do?
I just think...
20 points clear.
I think they've sacked him to acquire a tournament-winning manager to ensure that they win the Champions League this year.
But he's only won it once. I think one of the.
But he's an excellent tournament manager.
Oh no, he's incredible.
And he obviously has previous Dortmund connections. So
love the man to bits.
Yeah, so what they're doing then? That completely goes against your point.
Why?
You said they sacked him to get a tournament manager, but he's a good tournament manager.
Nagelsmann's won every Champions League game this season, though.
I'm saying Tuchel's a good tournament. And Tuchel's a better tournament manager.
I think
they've got a person that's won in that position before.
But so is Nagelsmann.
He's not won a...
He's won 8 of 8 this season in the Champions League.
No, but
so
I mean,
they're set on track
he's not
for it.
won an actual Champions League, has he?
He's only 35. He's got time.
Yeah, but all I'm doing is just giving the point as to why they would sack him. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
I think a lot of
There's
it as
no
well
logic
becomes
otherwise.
from like behind the scenes and stuff, where I think in his first season he basically didn't play like the Bayern Munich way.
So it's a stylistic issue.
Yeah, because it's also different. Like it makes sense because the whole time in Nagelsmann's career, like, he was like managing Hoffenheim and RB Leipzig, where like it's all about being the team and like everybody's contributing towards the team. And then he goes to Bayern Munich, where actually there's a lot of individuals and like you're dealing with players like Lewandowski and Thomas Müller, Manuel Neuer, so on and so forth. And I reckon maybe there's been a bit of like clashes at times where because it is actually something you need to learn of like how to manage personalities and how to manage at big clubs.
Being a manager.
Massive. And like PSG's an example of it. Chelsea, Manchester United. It's like something that Arteta's done so well. And obviously seeing the fruits of his labour now at the top of the Premier League. And when, as I mentioned earlier, like, I kind of made it as a joke, but I do think there is an element of like, he is just super young, like super young.
But if you're good at your job, that shouldn't be a prejudicial issue.
I completely agree. However, like in football, there are old heads that kind of look at things, and it's like if Thomas Müller, say, and I don't know this has happened, but say for instance he's fallen out of Thomas Müller, who's obviously a Bayern Munich legend and has big stakes in the club, and Thomas Müller's going like,
Yeah.
he's maybe not quite working out here, and then you
Bring in Oliver Kahn.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not sure about this
And
guy.
then when
Lewandowski.
Thomas Tuchel's available, who's like obviously a German manager and has like huge experience, maybe they think, okay, maybe we cut our losses
Do you
here.
think it actually is a case of like, even look at the Manuel Neuer thing, like, being 35 and trying to tell these guys what to do, surely that must be a bit weird for the players as well, because they'll be used to the older managers and like a figurehead above them, whereas he's sort of on their par with them. Surely but then Arteta's done it at Arsenal.
But it just depends on the commitment, I guess.
Arsenal's a lot younger squad as well.
Yeah,
actually.
and also like Arsenal haven't been winning the Premier League every year.
Yes.
For the past 10 years.
20 years.
Yeah, exactly. And so I feel for him because I think he's such an exciting manager, and like his story's like so sick.
Yeah.
And especially for himself, he must be gutted. Like he's a Bayern Munich fan.
Yeah.
Like his whole thing was like being pitched as you're going to be the Bayern Munich manager and you're going to be here for.
I'm sure there's a day where he returns.
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think so. And maybe like Tottenham is that nice kind of like period of settling yourself, getting yourself back to it, where maybe expectations aren't
He
as
must
high.
be in just a bit of shock right now. Do you reckon they must have been having chats? He must have seen it.
Did you not see the rumour that apparently he found out through social media?
Yes.
Which is insane.
There's no way. There's no way.
Insane.
Apparently
That's true.
Fabrizio broke the news.
Yeah, which is
there's no way,
nuts.
though.
You'd imagine not.
But you never know in football.
Can I just propose a conspiracy theory? Has he been sacked due to their Champions League draw? And replaced
Against Man City.
Yeah, and the man they've brought in is a guy that has Pep's number a lot.
I mean, it'd be a big call.
Could you imagine?
It'd be a big call if that's the reason.
For
they've
one
done it.
game.
It makes more sense than anything else, though.
No, but he's done it. He's done it multiple times in the Premier League as well, hasn't he?
I think the last two he lost, but previously he had like beaten him.
They basically
They
brought
never know.
Tuchel to win the Champions League and to be an older head for the other players in the team.
Yeah, but why has it come at this point? Why is it so coincidental that it's just before a time that they?
I guess it is in terms of like not to completely agree with your
No, I don't agree with it myself.
It's that point in the season where it's like the way if you're going to make a decision, you do it now. Like okay, you've got enough games to pull back the Bundesliga, and look, you're now facing Man City in the Champions League. You could also then face either Real Madrid or Chelsea. God, if we face Bayern Munich under Thomas Tuchel, I'll cry. Into the semi-finals, and so they thought like, look, if we're going to call it, we're going to call it now. We're going up against Bayern Munich. Obviously, Thomas Tuchel, because that's the other thing as well. How much longer was Thomas Tuchel going to be available for? Exactly. I think that's been a lot from a lot of the communications. Yeah. It's been about how Thomas Tuchel's available now, and say they waited another month and maybe he'd gone to Tottenham Hotspur, who were looking for a manager as well.
Do you think Spurs are kicking themselves a little bit? Do you think they would have preferred to get Tuchel and sack Conte earlier, or do you think Nagelsmann?
I think a lot of Spurs fans don't like the idea of having Tuchel.
A third Chelsea manager in a row. That's what I've heard a lot of. Like they don't want
a lot of Spurs fans are itching for Pochettino to return.
I think that's the favourite runner, right?
Is he the man for it? He left on relatively good terms.
He wants to go back, right?
He wants to go back. Yeah. There are talks about how like he's currently living in between Barcelona and London all the time. He talks about how much he loves London all the time. I think people forget how bad it was at the end for Pochettino. Like even when they got to the Champions League final, that season wasn't in the Premier League, wasn't that amazing. And then the season after, the season he got sacked, like it was really bad, really, really bad.
But they don't hate each other. There's still love there between the fans.
Yeah, I think that's just because of like what's happened. And my thing personally is I don't know whether Pochettino has become a better manager since he's left. No. Like he went to PSG,
There's no evidence
failed to win the first league, and I think he won it eventually. But then like hasn't progressed, and he's also not been picked up by any other club for the past like year or so, which kind of like raises alarm bells for me.
But it'd be very Spurs to get a manager who's been out of a job for a year and no other club wants him.
Yeah. Who has a good history with Spurs.
When there's a progressive young manager, they could go for and following the footsteps of Arsenal. But Spurs will just go to Pochettino because what do they love doing? Losing.
Yeah,
it is a culture mentality. Culture thing.
And what you think is Nagelsmann? I've changed my pronunciation there based off how people have been saying it around this table.
How have you called it?
How have you said it?
Nagelsmann.
Yeah, but I've always thought Nagelsmann.
Yeah, you're from Leicester though, aren't you?
Bath.
Julian.
Is he a better manager than Pochettino?
Is he a better manager?
From the evidence that you've seen.
Look,
maybe. Like
I think he's better suited to the Premier League because if you look at what's doing good in the Premier League right now, Arsenal is a young, progressive manager building from youth upwards.
Yeah.
I think you need someone forward thinking.
Yeah.
What I will say with Pochettino, though, is when he was there, he dealt with a period where they didn't spend any money for like a year and a half. He dealt with like how Spurs have progressed since is actually maybe going to be more interesting for him because they are willing to spend money. They do have these young and exciting players.
Culture shift.
Whereas when he was there, he was like, because I remember the season when they got the Champions League final, he actually says in the press conference after the final or something around a couple of days afterwards where he goes like, look, we need to get money in now and rebuild and like build a team to try and progress. And it never happened. It didn't kind of happen under him. And actually, since he left, they have spent lots of money and brought in all these players. And so maybe it'd work out. I think the thing with Nagelsmann is like he's an attacking, fun manager who was doing a formation that was like 3-1-6 at Bayern Munich, which is insane.
But do you not think that's what Spurs need? Because they've got a lot of attacking talent.
Yeah.
Defence not so much so, but they're attacking talent. is really, really good. Do you think Kane will be more likely to sign a new contract under Poch or Nagelsmann?
God, you know what? If I'm Kane and like
Go United, just go United.
exactly,
Yeah.
honestly, exactly.
He owes nothing to the club. I know, obviously, he's been there.
I don't think
for-
Spurs fans would begrudge him either.
No, they don't. At this point, they're like, Harry, we understand.
Yeah.
Like, we've kept you for so long. Like,
He's like a prisoner.
You don't
You've
have to
got-
suffer Stockholm
and
syndrome anymore,
He's
mate.
got the
Just
goal
leave.
record now. Like
He has to
Exactly.
go.
I think
Exactly.
like I just think if United, it's only United as well. Like because City aren't going to go by him. Obviously, with he's not going to move to another London club.
No.
And who else is going to afford about 100 million?
Scenes when he goes to Arsenal.
And so,
Imagine.
and so you,
Or Bayern under Tuchel.
to be honest, or it's away and it's Bayern Munich.
Yeah. But
or
he wants the
some
Premier
other
League
club.
goals.
Yeah, the
all-time
goal,
record,
the all-time
isn't it?
record. So it feels like United's probably the destination. I mean, who would he rather stay for? Maybe Poch, just because he kind of knows him.
yeah.
I think honestly, this summer will be really interesting because also it's like say they do go get Nagelsmann, right? It's how you pitch. That's the thing they've got to figure out as well. Like, is how you pitching to these managers? Are you pitching that Harry Kane's going to stay?
Yeah.
But
Because imagine
But that's
Nagelsmann
the
join
thing,
and he getting fucked
like
off.
Levy attracting Pochettino and being like, mate, I'm going to keep Kane, play, do it, whatever you want, build the club around you.
One
and
month
then
in.
Kane leaves and he's like, well, I've
But
got
also at the same
nothing to
time,
work
vice
with.
versa. If you look at Kane, I
Yes.
bet they've gone,
Yeah.
we're bringing in Mourinho,
Exactly.
we're bringing in Poch,
Yeah.
we're bringing in Conte, you have to stay.
Yeah.
You're going nowhere. Like the club's gone nowhere in the last 5 years.
It ultimately depends what Kane wants himself, right?
100%, 100%.
You have to give him, he deserves a Premier League trophy.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But he might he might not even get that.
Who's
Like
the
if he
best
goes to
Premier-
United,
Who's the best Premier League midfielder of all time? In your eyes?
In my eyes.
Yeah.
Best Premier League midfielder of all time.
Yeah.
Well, how can you throw that on me? Steven,
No, because I know your answer.
Steven Gerrard.
Exactly.
Think
never
of
won a Premier League.
trophy.
Yeah, but the moments. Champions Leagues,
Yeah.
like
But
numerous
also-
domestic cups.
Also, there's
like,
only 2 players in English history that you'd scream when you're taking a long range shot. You go, Gerrard! Oh, Rooney!
I mean, that's a moment in itself, right?
It's
Like,
true though.
yeah.
It's actually. I'm not even joking. Like that resonates with millions of children around
It
the world.
does, it does, and that's the thing that like
You don't scream Kane.
Do you reckon people do at this point? New generation of
No.
becoming footballers?
They go Saka,
Harry Kane.
Jacob Murphy.
They definitely do not. unless like, their opposition's just been sent off.
Jacob Murphyman.
God, that's the sad thing as well. Kane could go to United and still not win a Premier League, like, but he has a better chance of winning
Better chance, 100% better
or
chance.
a League Cup or so on and so forth.
Just
I
something.
think.
Something.
I think.
Just,
he's,
I think it'd take anything.
Yeah.
I think he's the
Community
kind of
Shield.
player that if
Yeah.
he does go to United, there isn't like a serious possibility that they just do win.
Oh mate, they become even more scary.
But then he got to
Even
contend
more
with
scary.
Arsenal, and that's not an easy
Not
thing
easy
to do right now.
Not easy.